Your job's a joke, you broke, your love life's the away. It's like you're always stuck in second gear, when it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you, 'cause you're there for me too.
Penny press was the term used to describe the revolutionary business tactic of producing newspapers which sold for 1 cent. The Sun was the first printing business to use this tactic. Day, the creator of the Sun, recognized that there were many literate people, but none of the newspapers targeted the demographic. The average cost for the papers were 6 cents. Day took this opportunity and sold his papers at 1 cent, attracting more of the population. Besides making the newspaper very affordable, Day instituted another innovation, the newsboy. By hiring boys to hawk copies on street corners, the Sun was both affordable and readily available. By marketing a newspaper to the public the way he had, Benjamin Day inadvertently kicked off a very competitive era in American journalism, informing the public of everyday historical events.
In 1845, advancements in literature were created through novels like Moby Dick and Scarlet Letter. Moby Dick was a powerful book written during the American Renaissance and provided new insight of the world at sea and first-hand experience of the wonders within water. Moby Dick stuck with readers the same way that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein had. On the other hand, Scarlet Letter tackles topics of facing sin, guilt, and legalism during early America. The novel challenged many thoughts during the Victorian American scene, which pushed for romantic and emotional ideals. The novel also offered literature for a female audience, unlike previously written works.
The Comstock Act of 1873 limited the rising wave of entertainment. The act criminalized the postage of many explicit or explicitly related items. The act was aimed to limit the use of pornography, contraceptives, the education of contraceptives, and the spread of abortionifications in penny papers.
Baseball was a common interest amongst Americans before the Civil War, alongside cricket. Americans with a love for the sport formed the National League in sight of achieving a long-lasting competitive scene for the sport. The league helped baseball become an American pastime and grew throughout time for what is known today as Major League Baseball, or the MLB. Amongst Americans, department stores emerged as places where displaying wealth was developing to emulate status. Stores developed in order to offer high-quality goods at a low price. These stores gave women an exciting venture to look forward to and a home away from home. These stores offered a plethora of purchasable items, which made the experience exciting, entertaining women for many years to come. Created by Joseph G. McCoy, Wild West shows became a style of entertainment that was born from the cattle industry and became a financial success. These glorified the Western experience, creating scenes with gunfights, bull riding, and over-dramatized frontier life. These shows exaggerated the lifestyle Westerns lived and made their lives commercial. The creation of motion camera introduced a new industry to capture the minds of the American people. Silent films were born from rising film directors, paving the way for film throughout American history. Actors like Charlie Chaplin rose to fame by playing roles in these silent films, quickly reaching stardom. Film allowed many ideas in films, like The Great Train Robbery, to take the big screen and make it big. Since the 1890s, film has developed into a massive enterprise which continues to entrance the American and worldwide population. With America's entry into World War I, 4.3 million soldiers are sent to battle. In response, the War Department created World War I wartime entertainment, in which the Commission on Training Camp Activities presented films, lectures, and posters against alcohol and prostitution to discipline the millions of men in battle. Their intention was to build morale through shows, games, and volunteer opportunities, and to keep soldiers away from bad behavior. The introduction of radios to the common American household thrived in the early 1900s. The election of the 29th United States President, Warren Harding, was the first election to be aired across radio, which encouraged or intrigued many Americans to listen in and began the radio era. The radio became a staple in the average American household, becoming a source of news, enjoyment, and a way to pass time as families. Alongside the radio, growing in the age of mass media, were magazines. Magazines made a big boom amongst American people during the Progressive Era around 1922. Magazines provided American people with reading material that instigated conversation amongst the people, intriguing the masses through stories and articles that might not have been shared otherwise. Magazines were used to expose social and political shortcomings, and were taken under the wing of muckrakers and yellow journalism to be used to expose the truth behind industry in America. In the 1930s, innovation in technology allowed audio-supported movies, and the movie industry took America by storm. Movies like Public Enemy and Animal Crackers introduced gangster movies and comedy films to the masses. Gangster movies glorified crime and told stories through gore and comedic relief, while comedy films offered a new experience where the purpose for viewers was to enjoy humor rather than watch for a plotline. Groups like the Marx Brothers and the Warner Brothers took these genres and many more and ran with them, creating industry America holds dear through its history. In 1939, the boom of the film industry created legendary works like Gone with the Wind and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Snow White became a milestone for animated films as it was the first full-length feature to become completely animated, running a length of 1 hour and 28 minutes. Due to movies like Gone with the Wind and Snow White, attendance to movies has risen 65% since the beginning of the decade. After the boom of movie popularity in 1939, the government began to use films in 1942 to play into political propaganda. With the war bent America during World War II, the U.S. government employed movie companies to make films at their disposal to encourage full participation towards the war. Characters like Donald Duck were used to emulate the terrible stands of Nazi Germany and to swing all of the American population to their side. After World War II, America transitions back to a family-bound society, with televisions popping into every household. With the rise of the television, American government used it to spread news about politics and become a digital bulletin board for the average American family. Political standings shifted with the visual broadcaster, as American views of the presidential candidates swayed towards more than stance. Families gathered to watch the presidential debates like those of Kennedy and Nixon, bonding families together and ingraining the usage of the television into American history. With TVs and film continuing to take America by storm in the 1950s, film industries were able to use TVs to broadcast their upcoming productions and excite differing audiences of America. The mutant movie genre rose greatly during this time, as movies like Godzilla and World Without End intrigued Americans with never-before-seen fictional stories. In 1963, general drug culture rose. Marijuana and other drugs became widely used by hippies and other partakers in counterculture. The usage of these drugs for other than medical usage allowed people to experience hallucinations and other reactions to escape from their reality. Soccer kicked its way into America's hearts during the 1970s. Bringing the game overseas allowed the fun and widely enjoyed game to be brought to a competitive field and incite excitement amongst fans and viewers. The game brought people together at stadiums and introduced a new sport to the American scene for all to enjoy. Movie industries in the 1970s and 80s adapted to the rising changes and developments in technology to produce impressive films with never-before-seen plotlines. Movies like Star Wars Episode IV: A New Hope and Jaws intrigued America as the films developed the science fiction and horror genres never before seen by the American eye. Magazines burst into the American eye again in 1985 with the creation of Forbes magazine. The American Business Magazine offered an article-filled pamphlet to have the intended audience of adults and businessmen and women. No magazine before has successfully relayed information about business, finance, industry, investing, marketing, technology, and other business-like attributes. The turn of the decade into the 90s also marked the beginning of the digital age. The creation of the internet allowed the connection of information across a vast space to be accessed at any time. Originally built and used by businesses, the internet was adapted into modern society and used with the development of the computer. Its quick accessibility and excessive information attracted the American people, spawning the digital age. Taking further advancements after the computer, comic companies equipped themselves with the technology as the movie industry used and birthed a large enterprise. Action and superhero movies rose, taking America by storm, giving the younger population role models and the older population's entertainment. Companies like Marvel and DC Comics led the charge, churning out movies based off of their own comics, tying together the comic population with the moviegoer population. Approaching modern day, video games have been enjoyed by the American people for ages, but the boom of the movie industry and the usage of the internet let the digital worlds leap to the forefront of American attention. Websites like Twitch and YouTube created a wave of streaming and sharing videos of gamers' experiences in many games. Gamers can now find competitive players and talented professionals who play the same games as they do and watch them play live for enjoyment and for learning purposes. Big-time streamers develop massive fan bases in which these internet celebrities now begin to rival those of movie and television-spawned celebrities.
We stop